Is it bad parenting to smack your child? 0207 862 2222, that's the number. The reason we're asking is because the journalist Flick Everett admitted in a column for the I paper that she has lived with the guilt of smacking her son for the last 26 years. She says she still apologises to him, he's now a grown man, for losing her cool on that one occasion when he was 6. In England and Northern Ireland, parents who smack their children may argue that they were using reasonable punishment to avoid breaking the law. The NSPCC wants this defence scrapped totally and wants to ban smacking. The government is considering banning smacking overall. But do you think parents who physically discipline their children are doing nothing wrong or doing something that is terribly wrong and doesn't make any difference anyway? We'll start with Claire. Just remind us how many children you have and
I
how
have
old they
4.
are. Right.
Right. My eldest is 27, my youngest is 21. I've got 3 girls and a son.
Here they are. We see the whole family. Lovely.
That was my birthday this year, actually. And they don't look abused, and they're not abused. I am not obviously saying you have to go out and smack your child till it's raw. I'm not, advocating any form of systemic abuse. However, a short, sharp shock didn't do them any harm, won't do any child a piece of harm at all, in my view.
So on what kinds of occasions would you smack them?
If they had done something that I told them not to do, and having siblings, I think, is a great way to knock off all corners of the children, because they can find out for themselves how far they can push not only them, but me as a parent as well. And therefore, if the repeated behaviour was so bad that, a naughty step wouldn't even touch, it was a yank and a quick smack.
And this is a smack on the bottom?
Smack in the bottom, yeah, to make no red mark.
And you would start at what age and finish at what age?
Whenever the child presented with unreasonable behaviour.
Right. And did you find that it stopped them doing the same thing again, or you smacked them again when they did it again?
No, it did. It stopped them. It really did. It stopped them. And I know it's been banned in Sweden, and there's lots of data to show what's happened there. It's been banned in 2020 in Scotland and indeed Wales in 2022. And there's no evidence to suggest that anything has changed. The only thing I would say is there is evidence to purport that children themselves actually then become more violent on each other. And that is quite a serious thing.
If they are or smacked, or if they're not smacked?
If they're not smacked.
That's an extraordinary one.
Yeah, so there's a scientific data set to support that. And Scotland, I don't think that we should have state intervention on how to bring up children. I think that's really, really, really harmful.
Well, let's bring James in. Were you smacked as a child?
I actually had to call my mum to ask because I didn't remember being smacked.
Mine don't remember being smacked.
What did she say?
Well, she said she didn't, and neither did my dad.
Right.
And I think I've grown up wonderfully. I'm a pretty well-reasoned human being.
Yes.
I'm very caring.
Yeah.
Thank you, beautiful. Yes, young-looking, funny. And I don't think you should lead with violence. I never think you should.
It's not violence, though, James.
But if you teach a child that it's okay to hit someone, then
all
I think
you have to do, if that's your point and that's the basis of what you're saying, go into any nursery. There's biting, there's kicking,
I'm sure.
and there's hitting of children that have never been hit.
But we don't know that they've never been hit, do we?
Oh, well, I think we can safely say.
Let's bring Anita into this.
Well, I don't think my voice is probably the best because I sadly don't have children. But I remember corporal punishment, and I remember the cane in schools and the ruler, which went on your hand. So how does one discipline a child that you love, but is unruly? And I think that the only thing that is the hardest is when a child is being cruel to another child or being cruel. A slap is not a hit. A hit is not a slap. So for me, sometimes that is what Claire was saying is a shock. But on the whole, please, let's find another way.
Let's go straight to the lines and talk to Carol in Northumberland. Hello, Carol. What do you think about this?
Hi. From a young age, we were always teaching our children what's right and what's wrong. Are we actually turning around and teaching our children that smacking is acceptable? So when they go into school and they have playground tussles, how can they come home and be in trouble when you've actually taught them that smacking is okay? Or when they get older and they get in trouble. Everything is taught and children absorb everything. So we're now saying to them, solve a problem, let's smack. excuse me, I've never smacked my kids, never. And they've come out to be good kids. And if I've wanted to do anything, I've sat them down and talked to them. And I've told them why what they're doing is wrong.
And how, girls and boys, tell me about your kids.
Right, I have a boy and a girl.
Right.
They're not actually a boy and a girl. They're grown up now. They're in their 30s and they've actually got children of their own.
Yeah.
And they've grown up to be good Americanism, but good citizens. Both got excellent jobs and everything, and never had any problems. I'm not saying that problems would occur by smacking a child when they're younger, but what I'm saying is you can't teach a child something and not expect them when they're older to use that themselves.
Let's get Claire to respond to that. Claire, did you feel that you were teaching them to smack? You were smacking them, so therefore they'd learn to smack?
No, not at all. I wasn't teaching them to smack each other, Carol, and indeed they never turned on me or anything else. What my view is stemming from the fact that I don't think state intervention into parental roles and into parents bringing up their children should be held to such an account, because a smack is quite subjective. We've had Anita say a smack's not a hit, and it's the degree to which we want to hold the mark. And the mark was left in a court of law to say that if you left a mark on a child, then that was some form of abuse. The law itself is not fit up to protect children. And I'm sorry, the law that was there to say that there's a blanket ban on smacking, and indeed that's what some children's charities are wanting, is there to prevent harm to children. And I don't think, Carol, there's one parent or a lot of parents out there who want to harm their children. But this law would actually harm their ability to parent. If it were
Except that Carol's saying that she was able to do it without having recourse to smacking ever at all, and that's a boy and a girl, and she would talk instead. Carol, great call, thank you. Let's talk to Jean in London. Jean, you remember being smacked and you think you thoroughly deserved it. What were you doing, for goodness sake, Jean?
Well, I was quite a naughty child.
What sorts of terrible sins did you commit that you deserved to be smacked?
I didn't do horrible things, but my poor mum, she had a heart condition.
Right.
And I was only a little tot, so I didn't really understand why she was so ill, really. And I used to go wandering off on my own. This was in the 1940s when there weren't all these murderers and rapists and goodness knows what about. And I got my little tin pram and put all my toys in it. Yeah. And pushed it from Farnworth to Bolton and Trinity Street, 2 miles.
Wow.
And I was about 5, I think. And I pushed this pram. I saw a policeman standing on the street. I pulled his trouser leg. I said, "Excuse me, mister, can you tell me how to get back to Farnworth?"
When you got home, did your mum give you a good smacking?
No, she didn't give me a good smacking. I had a good. I think they were relieved that I got back safely.
Yes, exactly.
I remember my dad came to the station with a little hood to put on my head because it was cold, and he came in and took me home, and I got a royal telling off. But my mum did used to smack me on the back of my legs because I used to give her a bit of. I was climbing on the chicken coop one day, and I came sliding off. And I ended up with blisters on the end of all my fingers.
Right.
Well, it sounds like you learnt your own lesson there.
Yeah,
Why would you need to be...
You know who Jean sounds like? Do you remember Millie Molly Mandy and those wonderful books and Little Friend Susan and Billy Blunt? That's who you sound like, going off with your thing and going off to Bolton on your own at the age of 5. What a great call. I mean, and also pulling the policeman's trouser leg. Where's the policeman now? You want to pull his trouser leg? You can't find a policeman anywhere.
Should be done for assault.
Isn't she great, though? What a great call. Call me every day. I love those stories. They're fantastic. And also you should put them in a book because they're lovely. Let's go to Helen in Flintshire. Hello, Helen. You were not a smacker either.
Hi. No, I disagree with it. I think that you're teaching children to hit out when they feel angry or frustrated, because that's exactly what you're doing. You don't have the tool. You need the tools to help the behaviour, and those tools are there. It's just people don't know what they are. People don't learn them. It's about distraction and bribery and ignoring certain behaviours. It's not about hitting out just because they're misbehaving.
Were you ever tempted, Helen? Did you ever feel just on your last nerve it was just too much? You really felt like just smacking, or never?
Yeah, I've definitely been there, but walk away from it.
Yeah.
You know, take yourself away. You don't always have to deal with that behaviour there and then. It is okay if you feel angry or frustrated to take yourself away from that situation. And I think parents don't have all of these strategies, you know, in their toolbox, which is what they need. I think smacking is a generational thing as well. You know, it was accepted. You know, when I was a child, I've been hit. You know, did it do me any harm? No, not really. But then there's the parents that don't know how hard to hit. Parents that don't have control over hitting. I do believe that the state should be there to protect the children. It stops people from. It makes people think before they hit out.
I think that's valid.
A lot
I really
of
do.
fear as well. If a child is going to run across the road, you snatch them back.
That's permitted.
What?
That's permitted to snatch your
Them
child.
back. Yeah, well, it's fear. A lot of it is fear.
I just remember my dad used to
You're right,
say,
darling.
if you do that again, Vanessa, you'll feel the back of my hand. And I would want
Enough.
to do it again, obviously. And then he put his hand out and I could just feel the back of it like that.
Lovely.
Because he was a lovely man and he would never smack us in a million years. We would never got smacked ever.
You can't reason with a toddler. You can't reason with a child sometimes. That's just ridiculous.
Right,
And
we're going to move on because this is one that will run and run. And actually, wasn't it interesting that my lovely viewers didn't all ring up and say, yes, spare the rod and spoil the child, go and choose a branch from the garden and give them a good beating on a Friday. They'll know what they did to deserve it. Nobody said that at all. Everyone just said something delightful.